Hello and welcome to the Musical Instrument Investigator. Today we are on the website of Mehlis Auctions based in Germany, a website that we have visited before. They are now running their 102nd auction, which is happening between May 27th and May 29th. This is a huge auction which covers many different things, but we're just going to have a look at the musical instrument section. As always, have a look at the terms and conditions. I believe that the buyer's premium on this auction is 23%. Yep, 23%. Obviously look at what the cost of shipping is and things like that, and if there's any kind of things that are prohibited from being shipped outside of Europe, which sometimes happens. I'll put a link in the description. So without further ado, let's get into it and see what we have. So here we are. This is early 20th century violin, labelled Jacobus Steiner. Its length of body 36.3, so it's quite long. Have a quick look at some of the pictures here. The pictures are good on this website. It's a fairly standard type trade instrument there. Another violin around 1920. Meinl and Harold Klingenthal, 358 back again. It's quite big. It's another kind of tradey violin, so we don't need to go into that too much. Violin in case, Carlo de Story, Mailand, and on 1855. In need of restoration, body 36.5, so that's quite long. This is slightly more interesting than the previous ones. And I've lost track. 19th century violin without label but branded AST on the bottom. In need of restoration, 36.1, so a lot of larger instruments. I forgot that they have this actually, that you can kind of zoom in a bit, so that's quite cool. So there's the AST mark there. Quick look at the scroll. Close up there, so slightly more interesting. 400, I think, the starting bid there. A bit more interesting than the other ones. Viola 1900, inscribed E. Di Eugenio, and on 1900. Needs a restoration. The limit 300. Pictures are pretty good in this Mehlis auction, but we'll just try and go through quite quickly. Violin in case, 1930, labelled Nicholas Amatus, 36.3, like all very large instruments here. 200 is the estimate on this. Looks fairly standard. Not too much to see there. Another violin case, 1920, without label. This is very much a other kind of trade instrument, so I don't think we need to look at that too much. Another violin here. Beginning of 20th century, Steiner label. This is one of those kind of generic lion heads where the lion is not too great in quality. Let's have a quick look at it anyway. Yeah, it's a pretty standard instrument there. Quick look at the back, nothing too exciting. Another violin case, 1930s, without label, 35.9. another kind of fairly generic instrument there. 2, 3, 3. Right, violin case, inscribed Joseph Klotz Mittenwald, 1780. Some cracks that have been replaced, repaired even. Looks like it has some dodgy things going on in the varnish. It's another fairly generic instrument with a kind of fake label. Then we shall carry on. Violin marked on sticky note, Carl Gottlob Schuster, Mark Newkirkin. Got a low estimate. It's another kind of tradey instrument with its kind of bow of the period. Nothing too exciting to see there. Viola in case, Holm Virtual Auction, 1914. Looks in very good condition. If it is indeed of that period, it looks quite impressive. Yep. Look at that. Well, I mean, it's in exceptional condition. Crack free, very neat, yeah, ready to play. It's probably worth looking at. A violin by Hans Schirmer, 1930. Copy of Caspar de Sala and Brescia, 1565. Length about 5.5, so that's quite good. I mean, it looks like a well-made instrument. Not sure about the head. Probably only appeal to a select few people, unfortunately, but it looks there's some nice work on that. So €2,200 is the starting bid on that. Master Violin by Wilhelm Durschmidt, from 1959, ready to play, €1,000 starting bid. There's a bow. Certainly looks a little bit better and in playing condition. A 19th century violin without label, 359.9. It's very Germanic kind of instrument. €80 starting bid, that's not too bad. Could be an okay playing instrument. Violin case from around 1910, label Tobias Bernhard Dietzel Waldkreberg. Another €80 starting bid. Let's have a quick look at this. Not so exciting either, unfortunately. Violin case, 1930, label Remenu Mihaly Budapest, with a Strad label as well. Looks like it's in fairly good condition, and the scroll's a bit interesting there. A bit of a crack there on the peg. That's a bit of a concern. Yeah. Okay. 18th century, inscribed to George Hornsteiner, violin maker Mittenwald, and there's a repair label from 1877. In need of restoration. Length of body 2.4. So that would be quite small if that's the correct dimensions that they've stated there. It's in need of this woodworm has been having a bit of fun there on the neck. And it seemed to quite like necks, potentially on the body as well. It looks like it's got some woodworm marks. A bit of a label there. See head. Well, €20 start. Could be okay. It looks like an interesting instrument. A lot of money needed to be spent on it. 1930s violin. Another one with a Steiner label. Length 37.9. That's almost would be like a viola or something. That's like very very long. I'm wondering if some of these measurements are just typos. 1920s violin, 86 on the back. Another kind of treaty instrument. We can skip past that. 1920 without label. It's got quite a figured back, but the varnish is not so appealing. I think we can go past that one. End of the 19th century. Length of back 35.8. F-hole slightly interesting shape there. Scroll looks quite well carved. Interesting, looks like it has a neck graft. €80 starting bid. Slightly more interesting this one actually, I have to say. It's 245. There's a pin mark there. That I think is actually an interesting instrument. 245. Trying to remember that. Is another violin. Louis Joseph Germain, Luther, Paris, 1857. Violin, second half of 19th century. 36.2 length of back. Fairly interesting. End of 19th century, no label. 36 length of back. It's like fairly standard trade instrument, so I think that's fine. Let's carry on. Another violin, 1930, 35.7 length of back. It's not too exciting on that one. Violin with a case around 1800. It's got a label for Andreas Guarnerius. Length of body 36.4. It's pretty long. Scroll looks quite nice. Interesting things going on with the F-holes there. So interesting purfling. 2000 on that. See the neck graft, nice scroll. Yep, that's a bit more of an interesting one for 2000. It's got a Klotz label, 1788, 35.8 back. 35.8. Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. Beginning of 20th century. It's got Villon Paris. 35.7 length. Let's have a quick look here. Too exciting. A violin labelled Ignacio Vence, Italian Cremona. €400 starting on this. Looks like a sweet enough little instrument. Violin, Joseph Liddell, around 1910. 35.9 length of back. Not too exciting. Trade instrument. Violin from the Czech Republic. Once again, it's another trade instrument. I don't need to look at that. Violin, possibly around 1900. Labelled Anton Jolt from Munich. Made in St. Petersburg, 1950. I don't think we need to look too closely at this one either. Violin case, 1930s. Franz Hell label. Another one I think we can go past. Mix a lot of frogs there. And a violin bow. Early 20th century, branded L. Eckner. Another Eckner bow, fairly standard. Double bass bow from Eckner, and another double bass bow marked Eckner. Quick look at that. And a cello from 1930 without label. So a quick look at the back. Okay. And a double bass. Gliga Vasil, 2002. Looks in pretty good condition. Okay, end of 19th century. It's a kind of lute guitar with the extra kind of harp strings. It's got a curious head. Interesting rosette, missing a few strings and pins. It's a lute style back. €600 start. Close up of the head. It's quite interesting detail. Quite like it. The instrument itself. These are really not my kind of thing, but some people do like them. It's just a kind of generic mandolin. €80 start. Here's a Hofner kind of accordion-y type thing. There's an unmarked one there. Two brass instruments, German 20th century, helicon and bass trombone. Could be interesting. An alto saxophone there from 1950s, another alto saxophone 1930s, B-flat tenor saxophone 1930s, conductor's baton. I think I saw Not this one, but I think there's something in this auction where it says it cannot go outside of the EU. It's interesting. 150. Owner's name Otto Schmidt. Dedicated from the Core Society, Sanger Kratz. Let's carry on. This is it, yes, so we're on the last one here. Conductor Spaton. Please note, shipping only within the EU. EU member countries only. Has some worm marks. 1926. Interesting. Okay, well that's the end of the musical instruments in Mehlis. It's been interesting. We've just looked over it briefly, mainly just kind of trade instruments, I'm afraid, but interesting enough. Probably could have spent a bit more time looking at it, but I think we've got lots of other things to look at which are probably more interesting. For me, the pick of this auction is this lot 245, just because I'm just interested in these kind of F-holes. The way that they've been cut is just quite curious, the angles on it. Some of the work, just looking at the scroll, is kind of interesting. Some of the purfling work is curious, and on the back, just the placement of the kind of locating pins, or even if they're just kind of fake locating pins, it's just an interesting detail on this particular instrument. I just think it's interesting. So yeah, the Mehlis auction, the 102nd auction, so it's going on, like I said, 27th to 29th of May, so still time to bid. Yeah, the good pictures, usually sometimes they have really good instruments. This auction's a bit more normal, but still a good auction. So yeah, if you're interested in it, I shall indeed post a link in the description. And once again, thanks to everyone for watching. Sorry that this one was a bit brief, but I think there's other auctions we can look at in more detail. So once again, thanks a lot for watching. Ciao, bye. Many thanks for tuning in to the Musical Instrument Investigator. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, then please like, subscribe and turn on notifications, and watch out for the next video coming soon.